Let's, just for a second, think of two similar things and how one of those things happens to far outshine the other. There happens to be a flurry of examples that adhere to this, that ranging from drinking water far exceeding drinking apple juice, to pencils far exceeding pens, to sleeping in a bed far exceeding sleeping in a couch, to most of all, productive people far exceeding those who needlessly use technology all day. Hey! All joking aside, I want to transition into an example that egregiously exemplifies this notion, that being the focal point of this video, being in the topic of alternative media versus mainstream media, and how mainstream media far eclipses that of alternative media. But you guys may be tenaciously typing into your screen and how this is the case. While this answer might be attributed by many reasons, I want to get into the most primary one, that being in regards to what is the dichotomy between mainstream and alternative media. To put more context into what I just said, what is the dichotomy between alternative and mainstream media, and how does it signify how mainstream media gravitates more attention? To slowly build up to the primary reasons in all this, it is best that I first quickly elaborate upon the dichotomy portion of the question, being in other words, the difference between mainstream and alternative media. And while researching this topic, I managed to ultimately conjure up an idea and where this all resides in, that being in regards to the differing popularity between these two forms of media. Where, with mainstream media, it grew to be a firm part of American life, being through the prominence of television, YouTube, social media, streaming services, and much more. And coupled with that, there is also taking into account how mainstream media managed to be affiliated with many large corporations, thus further heightening its domination in our world. Alternative media, on the other hand, constitutes as more elusive, being in how it is linked to more old-fashioned activities, which can, in the context of the modern world, gain an obscene lack of attention. And now that I've finished elaborating upon the dichotomy of mainstream and alternative media, let me now delve into what this dichotomy signifies. Well, there are two reasons to put into play here. The first reason being in regards to their general appeal, where mainstream media is shown to cater to a larger array of people, being in how various forms of it adheres to being deemed the status quo. Alternative media, though, personifies the more traditional route, embodying the fact and how it caters to a more niche audience who gravitates more towards any old-fashioned activities. And when getting into the second reason and what their opposing popularity signifies, it would be in how, in the case of mainstream media, it is encoded with a special advantage. The special advantage I'm alluding to here would be in regards to mainstream media's overall conventionality. That, in a sense, being in how mainstream media voices a majority, which as a result feeds into its large appeal, wide accessibility, and overall popularity. On the other end of the spectrum, alternative media unfortunately does not have that luxury, being mainly evident to how many forms of alternative media, like already mentioned, rings more traditional, which as a symptom of being traditional ultimately gets alternative media to gravitate a more measly appeal as opposed to a more wide one. And all around, when merging all my aforementioned points in the video together, it ultimately amounts to a verdict that mainstream media, in the perception of many, far surpasses alternative media, which ultimately highlights not only the popularity mainstream media managed to precipitate, but coupled with that, the vast gratification it managed to ignite when compared to alternative media. And overall, while I will not disparage the quality of alternative media, I will, however, not disparage the fact that mainstream media will continue to triumph over alternative media for the years to come.